So what goes into making an organic wine organic? What does it take to get the USDA's organic seal of approval? The first part of the process is to start with organically grown grapes. This means no pesticides, chemical fertilizers, weed killers, or antifungal sprays used in the growing of grapes. Grapes are one of the most heavily sprayed crops around, and these carcinogenic materials can end up in your wine. So organic is better for your health. But it also has to do with the soil, such as using composted animal manure and no-growth regulators. In the vineyards, the winemaker actually encourages natural predators of insect pests, such as spiders.
Look at these.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, these are...
this is an organic grape, right?
These are organic Zinfandel wine grapes.
So tell me, Governor, what makes that organic?
Well, these grapes, since they were planted, and even this land before we planted the grapes in the early 1990s, never had any chemical pesticides or synthetic fertilizers used. So we fertilize the soil by the addition of compost that we make here on the farm, and by using cover crops that we green manure cultivate back into the ground.
Did you actually choose the way that you planted the rows, or did you just haphazardly decide?
Yeah, this orientation is intentional. These vines are oriented north-south. So this side of the row where we've stripped the leaves off of faces the morning sun.
Straight here. Wow.
So when we have morning dew, or if we had rain or foggy mornings where there's moisture on the berries, by doing this, hopefully they'll dry out as soon as possible before they get in the shade after noon,
Right.
which then protects them from getting sunburnt in the heat of the afternoon.
The other thing that I find fascinating is that the ground around here is very dry, but the grapevines are extremely green and healthy. So would I be right to assume they don't need much water?
They really don't. You know, grapes are a very deep-rooted plant by nature, and it actually produces a better quality fruit if you don't give them too much water, because it kind of waters them down, it pumps them up, and they don't have to work as hard to dig deep and get the minerals and nutrients from the soil that help give them the really good character and flavors in the wine.
That's wonderful. It's a shame we're not here during harvest time, but that's the way it is, right?
Maybe we'll be here during tasting time.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah. Well, look, thanks very much indeed.
When it comes to making and aging wine, organic means minimal processing and no use of any chemical additives. The physical treatment of the wine, like filtering and fining, is kept to a minimum. What is fining, you ask? Well, in the simplest of terms, it means to use organic, natural materials to filter and refine the wine. Minimizing the use of sulfur dioxide as an antioxidant is stringently observed. The final test is measured by testing the wine to see if it has less than 100 parts per million of sulfur dioxide. If it passes, then a wine is truly organic.
When most of us think of winemaking, we think of the obvious things like crushing the grapes, the harvest, all of that good fun stuff. But that's when the hard work starts, because from that point, you've got to bring the grapes in, they've got to be treated, they've got to be crushed, they've got to be bottled, and then distributed. Here at St. Joseph's in Oregon, these guys make and produce biodynamic wine. Never heard of it. So I'm going to find Joe, the owner, and find out what that means. What makes you biodynamic on the wine production here?
Well, wine production is the way we are raising the grapes, cultivating it, because we don't use any fertilizer, insecticide or pesticides. For mildew production, we use sulfur.
So the sulfur cures the mildew problem.
Yes.
But you've got to stop putting that down way in advance of the harvest, right?
Yes.
Now, at this point in the year, the grapes are in, the wine's crushed, it's all ready, it's being bottled, it's all around us. What do you do for the rest of the year?
Well, actually, what we do the rest of the year is just rack the vines, and actually we have to play with it.
You have to play with it?
Yeah, just like women.
Why?
Well, because it's a finicky product. You always have to tend to it. You have on the barrels, on Pinot Noirs or any barrel staged wine, has to be topped off because there's evaporation, and air gets in there, and it's murder for wine.
Well, there's some good news and there's some bad news. The good news is, if you're watching this from the UK, the weather in Oregon is identical. Beautiful. 9 months of the year, this is what we endure. The good news is, this behind me is a green vineyard. Not only do these guys make wine, they're a very large family. This is cousin Daniel. There's 12 kids in this family. They also, and correct me if I go wrong, produce their own meat, their own milk, their own vegetables, and they're pretty much self-sufficient, right?
To a large degree.
Yeah? But the reason for this visit is for this chap to show me how to milk this goat, right?
Yes.
So what's the technique on this?
Milking 101. Kind of like you're tying a balloon. You tie it at the top, and then the milk has no place to go but down.
So you're like drawing it down.
Yeah, you squeeze real tight with your upper fingers.
At the end?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's up on top here. Here's the demo. Squeeze up on top, and then the milk has no place to go but down.
Except for downwards.
And it takes usually our farm interns and myself. It took a while to learn. You know, it's a muscle memory thing, but you can give it the try.
Give it a shot then.
Yeah.
Let's give it a shot. All right, tight at the top.
Yeah.
And then a little squeeze.
Squeeze.
Easier said than done.
Yeah, it really is easier to said than
Nothing's
done.
coming out, Daniel.
So we can try the other technique, which you can squeeze. You can squeeze. Oh yeah, there you go. A little bit.
Did some come out?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Hey.
Yeah.
Jeez. Let's try it again.
I'll give it a little of this stuff.
You gotta get further up to the top.
We have good organic grains.
Look at that! Look at that! Daniel, did you see this?
Yeah.
Hey? Then you do a bit of that. And then a bit of...
There you go.
Hey? Do you do this every morning?
Yes.
So how long does your milking take?
Anywhere from around 40 minutes, average.
To go through all of them?
Yes. We sing to them, give them massages, imagine them with rain.
You sing to them?
Yes.
Show me how you sing.
Okay. Various songs I'll sing. Gracias, chivas, por su leche. Gracias por su bendición. That's in Spanish. Thank you for your milk. Thank you for your blessing. You know, to be improvisational makes it fresh every day, so I'll do new songs.
I think I'll try one. Can I try a song?
Yeah.
All right. God save our gracious Queen. God save our noble Queen. God save our Queen. You know what? It came out a lot quicker when I was singing. Did you notice that?
I didn't notice that. I believe it. Oh yeah, well.
That was the British national anthem.
Uh-huh.
Paul, we talked to Derek about the process of actually growing organic grapes, but what's the process of creating organic wine?
Right, so that's the second half of the process where you take the organic grapes from the field and then make it into wine. So what we do, as we mentioned earlier, is take the best of ancient methods and combine them with modern methods to make a wine that has no sulfites added, because that's how wine traditionally was made for most of the approximately 9,000 to 10,000 years of winemaking. So according to the USDA organic rules, organic wine is from organic grapes and no sulfites added, and that's what we've been doing here for about 30 years.
Wow. You're a sustainable vineyard, through and through. Would you say that it's saving you money, or is it more expensive to go the sustainable route?
In the long run, anybody doing something sustainable, it saves money in the long run. People always look at short-term forecasts in the corporate world, but when you're talking about farming organically, you're building up the health of the soil, which will last thousands of years rather than depleting it in 50 years. So when people look at the real costs, organics is cheaper in the long run as far as farming organically, because you're maintaining the health of your soil. So sustainable makes money over the long haul.
And in some cases, it saves you money immediately, just depending on what it is.
Oh yeah, because there's less inputs, because if people are buying the petrochemical type pesticides and fertilizers, that's quite expensive now. So if you can grow your own fertilizer by planting cover crops in the vineyard, those cover crops actually put nitrogen into the soil. They mine nitrogen from the air and carbon from the air and put it into the soil. So you're growing your own fertilizer instead of hauling it thousands of miles from a synthetic petrochemical fertilizer factory. So it does pay to be green.
That's right. Saves money immediately.
Yeah.